Hello, my name is Eric Michael, and I just love telling beautiful stories. It's kind of my thing. And last night, I went on a little walkabout in this beautiful desert, Black Rock Desert, here in the wonderful northern Nevada. And I just so happened to stumble upon this big dumpster filled with trash and garbage of the sort. And I went a little dumpster diving, and I found this beautiful book. I found this beautiful book in the dumpster. And I don't know who threw it in there, but I started reading it. And as someone who loves telling wonderful stories, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. That's how wonderful it was. So naturally, I woke up this morning and I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go tell this beautiful story. Because someone should. It shouldn't remain in the dumpster. It's a beautiful story about Burning Man in the beautiful Black Rock Desert, and deserves to be told. So that's why I'm here today. I'm here to tell a beautiful story. It's called Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City. Author unknown. Complete fucking mystery, it doesn't say. But that's because mustard is smeared over where it says by the name, by whoever. There's mustard all over the page. So whoever you are out there that wrote Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City, I'm here to tell your beautiful story, Mustard Man. But before we get into that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is decommodification. Decommodification is today's sponsor because I just know in my big old heart of hearts that there will be people out there in the world who say, that guy's trying to profit off of Burning Man. That guy's trying to promote himself via Burning Man. That guy's trying to whatever off of Burning Man. I am not here to do that. I am not here trying to sell a book. I'm not here trying to promote myself or this mystery mustard man. I am simply a live action, walking, talking art installation here to recite a beautiful story. So do not get it twisted. That's today's sponsor, decommodification. The following story took place during Burning Man's 2016 event, Da Vinci's workshop. There we were, 4 misfits sitting on the vast, humbling shores of Lake Tahoe, wondering how in God's name we were able to come so far in so little time. Only a week prior, we'd shown up to a gathering out in the middle of nowhere as thieves, bandits, punks, and pirates, with no greater motive than undergoing a hallucinogenic frenzy amongst the twisted, strange, and peculiar. Yet somehow, in some way, we'd each experience an aggressive metamorphosis while having left as liberated souls on paths of newfound purpose. It turns out, Burning Man wasn't just a killer party after all, but a place of magic, mysticism, and existential magnificence. Chapter 1. Get the ducks in a row. We'd been heading north, up Interstate 395 towards Nevada, sipping on watered-down beer and taking key bumps of blow when I said it. Y'all know this will change everything, right? You may quit your jobs, end your relationships, or God forbid, lose your mind. I'm unsure whether to have been referring to the 15 hits of dimethyltryptamine stashed under several packs of frozen bacon, or our heading into the biggest party in the world. Perhaps a bit of both. Either way, they'd laugh it off, but I'd be right. Just days prior, we'd been 4 misfits standing before an obnoxious pile of absolute rubbish, which we'd been under some psychotic impression would keep us alive, safe, and sane. 4 radios were distributed and call signs appointed. Whatever may transpire in this wasteland was best kept in discretion. There was Sleazy, the mastermind of this whole operation, a red wine aficionado looking for a ship to commandeer and dance floor to mingle upon. Lone Wolf, a wanderer with aspirations for aviation, and the only person with any wherewithal to differentiate his left from right. Chief, the component of utility with a need for speed, or any other type of amphetamine. Finally, myself, day tripper, a damn fool none the wiser. The 3 of them had been planning this trip for months, Sleazy having dreamt of it for years. He'd a deep passion for the arts, and there wasn't a more intriguing place than the idea of what Burning Man represented. A mass convergence of irrationally creative genius, and the total debauchery that made it all possible. I remember his text, having been lying in bed hyperanalyzing another godforsaken year gone pissing in the wind. "Oi, cunt," he said. "The Burn is having a last chance lottery-style ticket sale. You have to get one." "Fuck that noise," I replied. "Hippies in the desert? You know me better than that." "We're gambling men, ain't we? Take a chance, bitch. You'll regret it if not." There really wasn't anything less intriguing at the time. I was broke, unemployed, unenthusiastic, up to my nuts in despair, and on a wicked Pepto-Bismol bender. Don't get it twisted. I loved Raging Face, but depleting my checking account to attend some hypocrisy-driven banquet comprised of ultra-spiritualist dharma bums spewing contradicting mumbo-jumbo wasn't at the top of my to-do list. That being said, there was something creeping in the deep regions of a twisting nether, like a faint whisper being echoed off dormant desires and perpetual longings, just aching to be heard. A bastard child within me of whom was long since forsaken, perished to the ruins of a perilous past, who wished to be remembered, loved, and played with. Besides, Sleazy was right. We were gambling men, and I was dissatisfied with rolling the dice in realms of the ordinarily mundane, and curiosity began to itch like a bad case of chlamydia. The admission price was $400, and other than a trunk of petty cash, I had $450 in the bank. Of the thousands attempting to claim one of those golden tickets, chances were slim pickings. However, in waiting for a page to refresh amongst a roaring sea of hopeless romantics and perverted hooligans yelling at a crashed browser, I'd already known to have had it. If Lord willing and the creeks didn't rise, I was going to Burning Man. The first thing to do was familiarize myself with the venture, the only problem with that being, such is an impossible task. There's no video, blog, article, nor word of mouth that will ever come close to preparing oneself for that schizophrenic madhouse. Seeing and hearing about it is one thing. The tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, glitz and glamour. It's all useful information. But fuck me, running is it pale in comparison to the feat of strength which is one's first step onto this hallowed desert ground, and the last taking off of it. I'm not sure what any of us expected, or if there were expectations made whatsoever. If so, they'd be obliterated eventually. All we knew was there was a whole lot of shit needed to gather beforehand. One of Burning Man's principles is radical self-reliance, which encourages individuals to discover, exercise, and rely on their inner resources. There was little time to become self-reliant, so we were radical as hell. We aimed to make the checklist a priority at some point. However, all those scouted lacked one fundamental necessity: the drugs. If to have a ripping good time, an overabundance of narcotics was essential, having been inspired to impress Mr. Thompson himself over the course of that week. 4 ounces of the strongest grass ever harvested, half a pound of mushrooms, 10 grams of solid rock Colombian Bam Bam, 1 liquid LSD-filled vial and a tour guide's pamphlet of blotter acid, 15 freebasing hits of gelatinous DMT, a veterinarian's arsenal of ketamine, 2,000 whippets, multiple huffers, sniffers, and poppers of industrial-grade nail polish, a bottle of rainbow-assorted ecstasy and MDMA, a psych patient's medicine cabinet worth of uppers for riding out, downers for easing off, and enough zingers and zangers for every dilly-dally in between. Finally, 2 dark web vials of questionable research chemicals from Southeast Asia, of which promised to pack a mean punch straight to the cerebral cortex. We didn't neglect the amount of alcohol needed either. 5 growlers of sangria, a few handles of whiskey, vodka, and tequila, 1 quart of Lone Wolf's Tennessee moonshine, a drink so foul just a sip would singe the pubes from one's crotch, several 30 racks of watered-down beer for hydration, and a crate of Cabernet for when feeling particularly pretty or petty. Who knows if we truly believed capable of ingesting all those drugs and booze, but with only assumptions made towards this endeavor, having expectations was wildly unreasonable and damn near irresponsible. When gaining momentum for an unforgettable bender, it's better to be safe than sorry. As Raoul Duke may have stated at some point or another, it's much wiser to have a salt shaker of cocaine and not need it, than to need a salt shaker of cocaine and not have it. We'd taken care of the most crucial aspect of our trip, having accumulated enough narcotics to simultaneously elevate and sedate an entire zoo enclosure of silverback gorillas. However, this left us in an exceptionally vulnerable position, seeing as how we each blew our life savings for a briefcase worth of drugs and were in desperate need of coin. But Burning Man is all about radical self-reliance, and we'd been prepared to take radical measures. We pulled into the parking lot of a local dollar store in Chief's Hemi. Taking the worst possible outcome into account, the getaway vehicle needed to be fast. We'd already dipped heavily into the cocaine, and when 4 punk rock beatniks enter any establishment, each with their own cart, eyes wide and stupefied, they're bound to attract attention. There was a simplistic plan for this heist. 20 minutes in and out. No lingering and no man left behind. Each of us branched off into different sections without a list of essentials, leaving us to gather both the reasonable and entirely unreasonable. Sleazy took to the kitchenware, Lone Wolf on toiletries, Chief on food and beverage, leaving me to the toys. To say we'd been wise with our decisions would be a gross over-exaggeration. Each overflowing cart was filled with everything one would never need. Cheap macaroni, seasonal decor, greeting cards, wrapping paper, skin and hair products, reading glasses, candles, flower vases, school supplies, pregnancy tests, decorative bowls, martini glasses, squirt guns, picture frames, toilet scrubbers, mops and buckets, cat food, makeup, tools, hardware, phone chargers, oven mitts, whole canned chickens, goodie bag fillers, air fresheners, chip clips, diorama model boxes, parchment paper, latex balloons, coloring books, carpet cleaner, disinfectant wipes, Elmer's glue, gardening shovels, coffee filters, jigsaw puzzles, Crayola crayons, tins of okra, big doilies, little doilies, round, square, and lace doilies. We prepared for the worst while expecting the best. If by chance someone needed a pop-up elementary school built or cleaning service required, we could handle the job. I was standing next to the party supplies with $300 worth of glow sticks in my cart when one of the employees approached. "Looks like you're gearing up for quite the party," he said, smiling. "Ha! Yeah," I replied, confidently hesitant. "Sure thing, bubs." Come the finish line, we were on the shit end of very concerning looks. After all, what was more suspect than 4 carts with a bottomless array of insensible items no sane person would have any use for at any one time? This was the mischievous bidding of ransacking degenerates overly dependent on psychoactive substances. In a calm and calculated manner, we'd push our trolleys through the exit without a peep being made. Only the sounds of $2,000 worth of uselessness clanking through the parking lot. After an unnecessary movie-style peel-out, we dumped the payload in Chief's garage, spending the next 4 hours sorting it into piles while entirely blissed on sedatives. To conclude a torturous amount of time sifting through worthless rubbish, Sleazy looked slyly towards each of us, stating with an unwavering confidence, "It's not nearly enough." "The fuck are you on about?" Chief replied. "It's enough supplies for nuclear fallout." "No, brother. Hell hath no fury like an unprepared wastelander, and come hell or high water, we mustn't put ourselves in a position to face those repercussions." "He's right," Lone Wolf chimed. "I'll get the truck. It'll haul more." There was no sense in putting off the inevitable, so we did what any rationally thinking person on a head full of ketamine would, return to that very same store to do it all again. We figured no one had noticed and or cared about what was done, and that regardless of whether they'd realize it while looking back on the security footage, it wouldn't be for days coming, and by then, we'd be long gone. So, we waited for nightfall, when the employees had their shift change and we'd be unrecognizable. Why choosing to return to the same store, I'll never know. But to be honest, there was an alluring adrenaline in committing grand theft at the same impoverished establishment twice on the same day. There's a real rush to pushing the limits of degeneracy, a rather foul yearning of which is nearly insatiable. By day's end, we'd acquired 10 42-gallon contractor bags full of anything we ever needed to survive out there. The savage punchline of the whole joke being that come Burning Man's finish, we'd only ever opened 2 of them, the entire ordeal having been radically fucking useless. It was time to shift our focus towards camping gear. We had 2 50-pound bean bags, multiple human-sized stuffed pink flamingos, 1 low-riding chopper bike, and 3 beach cruisers with modified, dangerously unstable makeshift engines. A large hexa-yurt in constant need of shoddy duct tape repairs, 1 unreliable generator in mechanical disarray, an 8-foot-wide coat rack draped with enough fur to outrage PETA and cause a petition, a 12-person tent used for an overzealous walk-in closet, box upon box of decades-old military rations of all flavor-filled varieties, and 3 cartons of American spirits. I much prefer to roll cigarettes with loose-leaf tobacco. However, at times it can be incredibly tedious to do so in that environment. The dust is not only inevitable, but dooming to the extreme of needing to become one with it. A kind of symbiotic relationship. Having fingers caked in layers of fine powder makes gripping paper an impossible task. Add heavy drug use into the mix, causing a lack of basic motor function. And the simple rolling of a cigarette turns into a goddamn fiasco which leaves someone contemplating their entire existence. Lastly, one is held in the utmost regard when gifting packs of smokes. Such a gesture can quite literally save lives. We also had a crate of showcase mortars and 4 flare guns. But by bringing these items, we quickly realized 2 things. Fireworks are frowned upon, and the falling embers will catch a neighboring camp's tent on fire, leaving them to hunt you down. That, and one should never accidentally discharge a flare gun while on a crowded dance floor. You'll never see a more frightening sight, nor alarming sounds, than having dozens of drug-induced, sleep-deprived psychonauts flip their lid and scatter like rodents in mass hysteria. With a day left remaining before departure, whatever fucked sideways checklist we had was now complete. Not only was the bed of Lone Wolf's truck filled to the brim, but we had an additional 20-foot trailer piled front to back and stacked 6 feet across the board with totally impractical garbage. Most importantly, however, lying underneath the endless mounds of wasted mass was our steel briefcase, safe from the greedy hands of the narc squad. While many of our things were of no good use, and in terrible, terrible ways, a most regrettable contribution towards the vile effects of consumerism, it felt better being overprepared than underprepared, hence radical self-reliance. Expect the unexpected, look forward to it, welcome it, and appreciate it. Being ready for the worst is a safer gamble than hoping for the best. This destination must be approached with humility. For the Black Rock Desert, party, and atmosphere will forcefully shove that slice of humble pie right down your fucking throat. Wow. I have a feeling this is going to be a really exciting story. There's probably going to be lots of beautiful things that happen in it. A lot of shenanigans. A lot of hallucinogenic, crazy situations. Maybe there'll even be reflections. A way for this place to see itself from an outside perspective. Who knows? Who knows? I've only read the first chapter. I only just found it in the dumpster. But I am sure that this mystery mustard man, he wrote something important here. And God damn it, I'm gonna tell it. So let's all have a wonderful time together listening to this beautiful story. And then afterwards, we'll go out here and have the shindig. That's why we're here, right? For this wonderful party. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me, guys. I had a really wonderful time sharing this Mustard Man story, Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City. And I just cannot wait for chapter 2. Thank you.